So I recorded this video last night about this coil, and I got like near the end of it. Basically, I was at the end getting ready to hit stop using my phone, and my phone shuts off. So from the last point, the very first time I paused the video, that's all I got from there to that pause. Everything else was wiped out, so I lost a whole good video. I'm showing some different things with this coil, different toroids. I don't really feel like going all through that again because I've already went through it once. But I am messing around with some other stuff. Still with this coil. This is the 6 1/4 by 12. Can't remember exactly how many turns are on there. It's 32. I don't know if it's maybe a 32 heavy. I don't remember. I'd have to look. But anyways, it is posted. The secondary I do sell. And this is also the classroom coil circuit, which is with the small secondary. So I'm messing with it with this. I've got two wires running in there. One is 12-volt fan, the other is the drive circuit. This over here is that's a voltage regulator. It was an old audio video amplifier, and I've kind of converted it to a voltage regulator. And over there I'm using 24-volt supply, and I talked about them in the video last night about how I was using those 24-volt supplies, and then they just kind of stopped working as good, so I don't buy and offer those anymore. So that's why I'm sticking just 12 volts anymore. That is the last supply I had, and that's the one I use to wind the coils up. I gotta have some power for that, and that's a good supply. Other 24-volt supplies, and I've used up to 30, I think 36-volt supplies, just random different things. For instance, a power inserter for a DirecTV, a Dish Network 44 switch, if you're familiar with that. It's got a good power supply. It's got two power leads in there. I think they may be 28 volt and 24 volt. I could be wrong on that, but one of them won't work. I think the 28 volt does. I think that's what it was, 28 volt. And like I said, I've used other things for supply, so you can experiment as your own leisure. Of course, when I send it with the 12 volts, they're not that exciting on the classroom coil. They do work. They do have an arc. It can be up to 1 inch with the 12 volts. But it's more of a higher frequency, so it's a shorter arc, but it's more concentrated. And this one here is it's not really the same. It's got a little more output. And I'm going to show you, I got this other secondary right here, and I showed this in the video too. I covered it up, but I was showing where you want to make a good connection on a toroid, because you can start a fire pretty easily. And I showed this, which I did a long video on this here, which is probably a good thing it all got deleted, because I carried this on probably a little too far. But this secondary I was experimenting with, doing like I do on the classroom coil too, where the primary is inside the secondary. Well, I was messing around with this one, but the problem was my primary fell over inside and got too close to the secondary, and it caused a burn through, which it looks like I can't get it. Well, it kind of focused there. It looks like tree roots or just some kind of plant roots. It was really cool the way it spidered out. But anyways, so I was also going to show you just setting this, now that it's been burned through like that, just setting this near the secondary. Also, it's still a fire hazard, because you can see it arcs up inside there and starts smoking, but I'll show you here in just a minute. A little demonstration on that. This is for a fan in there, but I'm not using it right now. I need that when I'm winding one of the big coils. It's 24 volts. It's pushing it on my voltage regulator circuit, and so I needed a fan in there for that. But anyways, my voltage regulator, I don't have anything marked, but this is all the way down. The coil really only needs, if you put it on a voltage regulator, you'll see the coil come on about 3, maybe 3.3 to 3.7 volts is probably about the on. And you can run, like I said, the 20, it's hard to explain, maybe I'm just not thinking of it properly, but the coil does perform better with a voltage regulator on it, something that you can adjust the voltage on it. Actually, it works better. So you can, like I said, these 24 volt supplies aren't working very well. Even with this adjustment screw right there, before I could get by with just trimming that down and then they'd still work, and then all of a sudden I couldn't get these to work anymore. All they could do is just flash. So I stopped including these. I don't know if maybe they made a change in the manufacturer. These come from China. But anyways, with the voltage regulator, you kind of change that because you can sweep in the voltage as you go. So right there's probably about 3 volts, and the coil should be on right now. Alright, so I went out there to get a bulb to see. So, well, you know, I just put my meter on it. Alright, got this cheap meter here just for dealing with Tesla coils. And so let's get it up to about 3.6 volts. And nothing yet. There we go. Now it's on. It's on at 4.3, so it can vary there. And as you sweep this also, you'll find it has a point that it gets the best performance. And sometimes as you sweep it on and give it more voltage, you'll see it drop. See that? So that's what I mean. You can find a sweet spot with a voltage regulator on these coils. I'll try to post a circuit on the voltage regulator how to use. I was trying to think, maybe I already had it, but I don't think I've got the website that far yet. I've been really not able to get anything updated. Alright, so while I got this coil on, I'm just gonna check out this in here. It's pretty neat. See how close we get to it. Yeah, it's just not picking up on. Yeah, it's starting to. And that's the inside of that other secondary I was showing. It's actually pretty fun to sit here and watch, but the downside is it puts off a horrible smoke when it's burning, and it's some pretty bad fumes. I wouldn't want to be breathing. So, but other than that, it is pretty neat to sit and watch. And of course, the closer you get it, the more exciting it's going to be. Kind of like lightning in the sky. Or just the ambient flash anyway. But I don't think it's picking up as well on the camera. Oh, gee. Horrible smell. Alright, I had to get that thing outside, and that was at showing 17 volts. Let's see, right? Yeah, okay. Well, of course I did turn it up there when I got it closer. I think I got it too close. I had too many fumes coming off that thing. Alright, back to the coil. Like I said, I'm going to be putting these on eBay as a kit. I'm probably not going to completely build these things. It's super easy. But I will wind the secondary. Sorry, I will wind the secondary. So the secondaries, I spend a little more. These, especially these bigger ones, I spend a little more time with the poly on them. They come out with a little smoother finish, and as opposed to the other ones, I just put one coat of poly on those. Usually because when somebody orders one, it seems like 4 or 5 more maybe might. There's nothing really consistent about it. It's weird. So I usually have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 to do, and then 5. So while I'm getting number 2 done, there's 3 more waiting. So with these, I put a little more poly on. The other ones, I don't. And the primary will probably be blue, just like the others, to keep the red, white, and blue. And I'd like to get a different pipe. I can only find this green in this size. But as far as other coils, this is another good time for me to make this point. The coils are a little higher because the pipe I buy. If I buy a 10-foot pipe and try to cut it down into the sections that I wind up, those pipes are usually always deformed. Some way, somehow, you end up with flat spots on the coil. It actually drives me nuts, and I hate to sell them like that, but you know, sometimes I just have to work with the pipe I can get. But generally always get the 2-foot pipe. I can't remember who makes it. Charlotte. It's Charlotte pipe is what's stamped on it. But they're 2-footers, and they're generally always in really good shape and no deformations or anything like that. But the 10-footers, they're banded together really tightly, and then they get thrown all around. I don't know. A lot of them are warped. I hate dealing with those. I don't buy those. So I buy the 2-foot sections, which are really about the same price. So I could get the 10-footer and get, like, I don't know, I think 9 secondaries out of it. Or, you know, I buy these other 2-foot pieces and I only get 2 secondaries out of it. But that's what makes them a little more expensive, is because I buy a little more select pipe. And it's the same thing with this pipe too, which is why I have green pipe for this one. It's because I buy the 2-footers. They're, like I said, again, they're in better shape. They're in way better shape than trying to buy the 10-footers. You see, and you can probably see what I'm talking about. You see these, what's inside the pipe? I don't know if you can see those waves and stuff. That's usually what you have somewhere on the 10-footers. Whether it's all the way down, you know, just like all the way down here, it's usually on the outside. But on these, I see more of the problems on the inside, which is no problem here. I need a smooth outside. So I always go for a good pipe. And there may be other stuff out there that's probably priced better. I just haven't really gotten that far to look into it. And this is convenient for me to grab these 2-footers. Plus, when if I go order something, have it delivered, there's no telling what kind of shape it's going to be in. So I feel better about just going to hand pick something. And unfortunately, these green and this size are the only ones that I can get. I'd like to find some white later. That's enough about that. So like I said, it's going to be a blue primary on there. Well, I was trying to think of any other questions that I could cover in here. There's one other thing. I got rubber feet on the bottom of this thing because this cap is curved, and see, there's just zip ties under there to hold the fan in because I need it held upright. But yeah, they're all 4 on there. Okay, I couldn't see all 4 of them. So I don't know if I have enough feet for these, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Just might be one thing. If you buy this kit, you might have to come up with some kind of feet, because the bottom of these caps are curved, and unfortunately that is the only cap I can get for them. They do have some kind of I don't know what it'd be. Just some kind of notch on the end of it that I had to grind down too. But I don't want to keep grinding on it just to get it to a flat surface and grind all the way through and make a hole, which may not hurt anything, I don't know. Actually, it might be good for a fan if there was a hole in the bottom. So maybe that might be an option there. I'll look into that more as I build some more of these. Alright, if you have any questions about it or anything, just hit me up on eBay. That's probably just the best way to get a hold of me, especially about the coils. And another thing about the Classroom Coil 1 is if you bought one before and you bought one now, you might notice that the printed board there's a change there. So I did what I had to do in order to keep a lower price on it. So there is a difference. So there's no more capacitor anymore on the circuit. I eliminated that, and that honestly will help with some higher voltages, because most of the caps that I had were like 16 volt caps on the 24 volt, or 16 volt capacitors on the 12 volt coils. So some people might have got some that's got a little higher rated. Just went with what I had, but now those capacitors aren't there no more, so it is a little bit of a change on the circuit itself. And it does go together a little smoother, and I think it's probably a little easier to work on if you do have a failure, which I hope it's not happening. I've not had any returns there on the failures, so must be working out pretty good. Sorry, I haven't had any returns or reports of failures since I've been doing it this way, is what I meant to say. Alright, well, this video is already way longer than I intended it to be, so if you are interested in one of these or anything different, bigger, secondary, smaller, any size, I'll shoot you a price on it. Any kind of secondary that I build that's not included with a coil gets a nice poly finish, like I was trying to say a while ago. And like the other ones, I just put a coat of poly on there to get them done and get them out, because I usually got one to come behind it and wind up, and I've only got one device to wind the small ones and one device to wind the big ones. And fortunately, after I wind it, I had to leave it on the same one in order for the poly to dry. So it could take, on these big ones, it could take a couple of days before I'm finished just with the poly. And then if I got another one to do behind it, there's going to be a little bit of wait time. So I'm working on trying to get some more things to wind them up with for that. So I want to have some of these wound up and ready. I sold a couple of the 20-inch ones. I haven't got any reports back on those, but it did take about 3 days in total to finish that one up nicely. Alright, until the next video.